Welcome back to Moving with Meaning. I'm your host, Krystal B. And we are finishing up the February Diversity series today. I hope you have enjoyed that, but as promised, I mentioned that I would dedicate an episode at the end to family and friends and how we incorporate inclusion and diversity as it applies to the social aspect of our lives, because it certainly does. Also, at the end of this episode, I will also be throwing out a little shout out, a little tidbit here and there. So stay tuned for that. Keep watch for that. You want to definitely stay tuned for the end of this episode for some updates. Well, I think we should just get into this, because at the end of the day, we want to come full circle to how we include others as it relates to our personal lives. Now, this is definitely something that is different because there's a level of sensitivity because it's family involved. And we all know that family make up and break up all the time. And so my rule of thumb is when I'm dealing with anyone who's having a conversation with their family members, I don't even say anything. I stay out of it and let it be that, because it's just, like I said, it's just dynamics that happen. And so I think this one is even more difficult as far as applying inclusion and diversity into your social circles in your family. The dynamics are just completely different versus in a professional arena. I think it's easier in the professional world than it is in a personal setting. So as this is named, we're going to call this episode Circle of Inclusion. Okay. Like I said, we're going to bring it full circle today, and hopefully you can see some of those different strategies that I applied in the workplace. You can see them really come true here. Okay. So I'm going to start with a summary, okay, for today's episode, and it's about embracing diversity and inclusion in family dynamics and social circles. In our personal lives, diversity and inclusion aren't just applicable for the workplace. They're key to enriching our family dynamics and social circles. When we actively incorporate diverse perspectives and embrace inclusion within our nuclear families, extended families, and friend groups, we nurture environments that celebrate differences, foster mutual respect, and strengthen bonds. Okay, I'll agree, yes. That is a mouthful, but we always break that down. And I love how I can go from like a less than a 30-second summary and break it down this entire episode length, because it's just so profound and it's just complex. And I like that. Hopefully you do too, and we can take something from this. So we're gonna go with the 3 benefits that I have listed here for inclusivity in friends and families. So what I will also do is, as I go through each one of these, I will share my own experiences with these, but also be really transparent, because I probably haven't experienced some of these because I have imposed certain boundaries on myself. and that's something that you would impose boundaries on yourself versus imposing them on others. But that's what I did. I'm hopeful that that relates to any of you guys. And if not, it's okay. We can, as we come from different backgrounds, we have different experiences. Each one teach one. All right, let's get into these 3 benefits. Number 1, broader perspectives and enhanced decision making. When this applies to a nuclear family, so this is really just your family. So, and this is how I determine it. You can define it any kind of way you want to. I'd look at a nuclear family as, if you're married, you and your partner and your children, if you have any. Okay, that is a nuclear family. If I'm not married, it would obviously be like my sibling and my parents. But again, that would be my nuclear family. That may not be necessarily their nuclear family because they may be married. So like I said, it's just this ball of yarn that we just kind of got to unravel and consider. It's just all about being considerate and aware. So as this applies to nuclear family, when each family member's opinion is valued, decision-making becomes more balanced and creative, ensuring that everyone's needs are considered. Yes, we do need to have conversations and come together about decisions. Now, decision-making doesn't necessarily happen only in the workplace. It happens in our personal lives. And that relates to if we need to come together because a family member is in trouble, or we need to plan an event, or we need to support someone else, things like that, right? All of these things require us to have a decision. I think one of the ones that hit me at the top of my head, because the top of mine, is when we need to be caretakers. And for example, if I need to take care of my mother, she's no longer able to, or father, they're no longer able to take care of themselves. Sometimes we need to make a decision on if we're going to place them in a home, or if we're going to do like healthcare, home healthcare, hire a nurse, or if that's going to be something on the one individual. How we're going to talk about this monetarily? How are we going to talk about this from giving each other like space and room to breathe and a break from that, and just do switch? I mean, the list goes on. So these are things that decisions need to be made, and they do require you coming together with your families and to value everyone's opinion. Okay. Second is the extended, I'm sorry, not second, 1B, when this decision making applies to extended family. So in gatherings or discussions, a diverse range of viewpoints can help resolve conflicts and generate innovative solutions for family challenges. Yeah, I agree. So here's the thing: when you have challenges or conflicts and you take the necessary effort to resolve them, you always want to end like kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? And two, how can I avoid that? Right? And figure that out. Just because you went through the process to resolve the conflict and understand how we can avoid it going forward, and you guys come out there renewed, rejuvenated, and we agree, and then next thing you know, you're back almost at square one with another version of this conflict. So sometimes people are just at different stages in their lives, and we mean well. Sometimes we're just not mentally there to absorb that or to move and take that next step. And that's fine. You have to give everyone their space and their time. And in some cases, they cannot see that they're blurred. They just see that I'm offended. I don't know why. I'm constantly being offended by you. And the individual who's like, I have no idea what the heck is going on, will make the decision to say, look, okay, maybe we just take a step back and just say, like, look, I don't know what's happening right here, but we just need a break, like for a while. And that's happened to me personally. And did it help? It did. Did it take a long time? It did. It took about 7, 8, almost 10 years. So it happens, and we just need to handle those things maturely. The third one in this particular section on this benefit is friend groups. So inclusive friend circles offer a wealth of perspectives that enrich conversations and personal growth, leading to more empathetic and informed relationships. I think that speaks for itself. Yes, friend groups, you definitely need a level of trust and a level of consideration. Again, because we're now expanding our breadth from not only family, because if you've grown up with someone, you kind of know. And when you meet someone, they are probably not sharing a lot of detail with you as you meet them. You know, they'll release more and more and more as you guys continue to grow. But you want to be considerate of them because they have certain things and sensitivities that you just don't know. But when you are open to that, you can get a different level of perspective, and that will also help you be more considerate and compassionate when you're dealing with other people that you are looking for building in a deeper bond with. Second benefit is strengthening emotional bonds and support networks. Embracing diversity helps create deeper connections by encouraging empathy and understanding among family members and friends. When everyone feels heard and valued, the sense of belonging increases and support networks become stronger, making it easier to navigate life's ups and downs together. Oh, Lord have mercy, is this true? I mean, I probably had a down last week, and it was just kind of random. It just kind of hit me. In some cases, I typically have friends that I call in certain scenarios, okay? And it's just really just to talk. It's really just to air some stuff out and just get it off my chest, because I can't keep it in. I can't, because it just festers. It's like a virus. So I have to get it out a certain way. And yeah, I mean, when I have friends who know that about me, and that's kind of how our relationship is. I mean, they're my best friends, and sometimes I do not talk to them until these moments happen. And I think one time I even apologized to one of my friends. Like, what you apologizing for? And I said, well, I'm not a everyday on the phone kind of friend, and I don't but I will be if that's what you need. And she's like, okay, you can stop, Krystal. I know you. I know your heart. And that's not going to change. You are fine exactly the way you are. We do not need to change anything, and I'm not asking for it. I'm fine just as well as you are. And that's great because it's a support network, right? And it's a deeper connection for someone to really accept you for who you are authentically. Last benefit is increased resilience and adaptability. So inclusive environments within families and social circles build resilience as they equip individuals with the ability to appreciate and adapt to various viewpoints. This flexibility not only supports personal growth, but also prepares family units and friendships to handle conflicts and changes with grace. Ain't that something? The resilience is there, and so we need to look at and say, okay, hey, look, we have, and I'm telling you this, I've gone through this before with my entire extended family. It was a very difficult period we went through for years. I mean, at this point, where we are right now, we are still not back to how we were before. And I think actually that's okay, because it's not necessarily how we were before. It was just that we were just ignoring certain comments and treatment, and people would show up for only for certain things and never show up for other things. And we were just really just kind of going with the flow just to keep the peace. And now, I'm not gonna lie, we're actually more aware of that and more cognizant of it. And we're choosing to interact and engage with people that we feel appreciate them, not just because we're trying to keep the peace. So this is actually okay for me. I miss the relationships and the fun that we had where we weren't kind of, where we're just kind of overlooking stuff. But I also know how harsh that was on me emotionally. It was very draining. And I kind of like how we moved into this space where it's like we're adults, right? And we need to treat each other with respect. And if we are not getting that level of respect, we do not feel quote unquote pressured to still engage with them at whatever level that someone else wants us to look like. So I really think that this is where we are. And I think just how we resolve that and bounce back is key, because we are back together and we will still attend things. It's just maybe different, right? It just looks different. So with all of those, I want to also give you examples of these personal scenarios where inclusion may be overlooked. And this is just, like I said, sometimes we're just not aware of things because we're just living life. We having fun. We're vibing and jiving, like, let's get back and relax. Why is it got to be all this? Well, yeah, there are moments where we want to be considerate, okay? Don't put this all on one person who just kind of gravitates to this peacemaker role. Everyone should have a place into creating this awareness, okay? So one is family discussions and decision making. I told you before, but specifically, so sometimes one or two dominant voices can overshadow others during important family conversations, causing valuable input from quieter members to be overlooked. Hey, isn't that true? I know for sure there are quieter members. I think I'm actually one. When it's in family discussions, like the larger branch, I'm really quiet. If it's me and my husband with my children, I'm probably quote unquote the more dominant voice. But when I go into being around my extended family, meaning with my cousins and all of my different aunts and uncles, I am probably quiet. And so sometimes I'm just listening and taking in the feedback, and the individuals who are just more dominant, more prominent, yeah, you can feel like they're overshadowing, but then again, I'm kind of allowing that to happen. So I think just as I look at it, it takes a leader, okay, to be inclusive and to make that next step. So if you know that you're one of those dominant voices, I think it's important to kind of call out different folks that you haven't heard from, or you know that are pretty quiet. Hey, so and so, what do you think? What is your take on it? Blah 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 blah. Like, call different folks out, and I think that will help them even feel more included, because one, that lets them know that, oh, my opinion is valued. They're asking me, and two, they noticed that I'm quiet, and they reached out to me and called me by name. So I think it's really important, and it goes a lot further than what you think. Another one is social event invitations. In planning outings or birthday parties, it might be easy to fall into familiar patterns and exclude friends or relatives from different backgrounds, inadvertently limiting the diversity of the gathering. True, true, true. So, and this is just a situation that I had, and it had nothing to do with anything because I didn't know. So I was planning my sons or daughters, I can't remember what it was, but birthday party, and they were really little. I prioritized sending out the party invitations to all of my family members who had children first. Then I was coming back and going through the list to get the next set. By the time, before I could get to that next set, two people had already discussed and said, oh, I'm going so and so. Did you get the birthday invite? And they're like, oh no, I didn't. Okay. And it got back to me like, oh, are they not welcome? And it's like, no, it's just sending a party is a lot, you guys. And just, I had to prioritize things a certain way. So that can feel incredibly daunting, but I know that people will purposely exclude people on purpose as well. So there's on purpose and then there's on accident scenarios of that. And I would just say people notice. That's all I can say. If you think you're getting by, or if you think that's what you're trying to do is get a reaction out of them, they see it, they notice, they're probably not reacting because it's just not worth their time. So if you want someone there, invite them. And last is establishing boundaries. When setting boundaries within relationships, some might stick too rigidly to traditional norms, inadvertently dismissing the unique needs or perspectives of family members and friends from different cultures or life experiences. I agree. That statement certainly makes sense to me. Like I said, I was never really good at setting boundaries on others, so I can't really speak necessarily to this. I know this is a situation though for other people, so I'm like I said, I'm being transparent. The best I can do at this point is call it out and just kind of say, for example, a wedding. I went to one of my cousin's wedding. He was getting remarried. One of my other little cousins didn't show up because his faith did not align with remarriage. So that's something that happened. So we weren't offended because it was like, well, his faith, you have to be considerate of that. My brother was at one point engaged to a Jehovah's Witness. So birthday parties and things like holidays, we weren't going to see her at that time. So again, it's just understanding people and being more informed. That's all it is. Okay. Now, how come if there's all these benefits and there's all these examples of, wow, like, yeah, I see that it's worth being considerate, mindful, or just aware of these things, why are we objecting to it in the first place? Like, what are the challenges for this? Okay, you have deep-rooted traditions. So long-standing family traditions or social norms may make it challenging to welcome new perspectives that deviate from established practices. It's just, how are we basically looking to incorporate new ideas and changes to what we've been doing typically over time? You will see that constantly. Second, comfort zones and resistance to change. So obviously, just people often gravitate toward what they know, okay? And this is just looking to help support changes and, basically a disruption of familiar dynamics within the families or the friend groups. And the third reason I would say is emotional investment and vulnerability. So truthfully, and this is known, inclusion does require to be open and vulnerable. It does. Now, the thing about being open and vulnerable is that there is a fear of conflict or the possibility of rejection. And that fear can truly make individuals worry or feel or wary of fully engaging with diverse perspectives. So just understand that piece as well, is that there's a certain level of vulnerability, especially if you've been hurt before by doing this. You're less likely to just do it again. At least you're not going to be quick to do it. Okay. So I want to end with 3 different strategies here. And again, this is about creating a safe and inclusive space in your family circles. But I also want to make sure you understand, like, these are just examples. Okay. This is not saying that these are going to work or anything. Like I said before, I have tried some of these things, and it's just, sometimes it's just that there's a clash. We're in 2 different places in our life, and our values are just completely off, different. Okay. So that may be the case, but this is just a strategy to kind of at least get you to the point of saying, okay, I tried, it ain't working. Maybe we just need some space and us to grow out individually and then come back. That's also fine. First strategy is facilitate open conversations. A, establish regular family or group meetings where everyone is encouraged to share their thoughts, experiences, and feelings. Use guided questions or icebreakers that promote understanding and allow quieter voices to be heard. I have experienced this, and I did do this. This came into really good handy during COVID. Our family could not get together, and I mean our extended family, and we got together constantly, a lot. I'm not gonna say we organized a Zoom call and we all got on it. We all got on it to the point where there's some of us that were working and still put us on while they were working just to join because we missed each other that way. And as people were still coming on, we were just talking about, hey, what you doing? Hey, I've been binging this. Have you seen this? And so we got to not only hear from the quieter voices because they had just missed us for so long. I got to understand and listen to them as far as their interest in movies that I did not know that they had. So I think facilitating open conversations, whether it's virtual or in person, is a game changer. I highly recommend that. I think that is the top one. Now, the second one is to celebrate differences. So make an effort to learn about and celebrate the diverse backgrounds, cultures, and interests of your family and friends. Incorporate these diverse traditions, cuisines, or activities into your gatherings to honor and enjoy the richness of everyone's contributions. I think that goes without saying, okay? Just being cognizant of someone else, as long as it doesn't infringe on your beliefs and your traditions and your values, it's fine, okay? So I think that is awesome. And I think that it definitely helps with interracial, intercultural relationships and families. I think that's brilliant. Last strategy, number 3, practice empathetic listening. Oh, this is a little different than active listening. So we're going to develop a habit of active listening, ensuring you fully understand another's perspective before responding, okay? In that case, you are encouraging empathy by reflecting back what you've heard and validating others' feelings, fostering an environment of respect and trust. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Restatement is powerful, and it allows you to not only communicate what you've heard and what you've understood, 2, it allows the other individual to either correct what you've heard and understood. So it gives you that kind of good place to kind of say, is that what you're saying? Okay, I get it, right? I think that's brilliant as well. So I'm going to give you this motivational message here and leave you with this before I end with my little tidbit that I want to give with y'all. So your voice and the voice of those around you are the threads that weave the rich tapestry of life. When you prioritize inclusion in your family and friendships, you're not only honoring each unique story, you're creating a legacy of empathy, strength, and resilience. Your journey towards an inclusive life starts today because every voice matters and every moment is a chance to connect. Ain't that something? I enjoyed y'all today, and I enjoyed this one. I am so happy that I even thought about this and said, I'm going to dedicate an episode solely to inclusion and diversity in our social environments. Now, I do want to give you that surprise. So this is the last episode for my season here at NFusion TV. Don't worry, I will be coming back with a second one, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking a 3-month break because I have to catch up on quite a bit of activities, and I'm going to share a little bit of those with you today. Okay? So I want you to also not only look at this from a perspective of that, but I want you to visit. I want you to hear me in these different areas because I'm going to be active in a plethora of other places. So you have to link up with me if you want to join me on those travels during this brief break on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But what I will be doing, so I have 2 upcoming events. I will be speaking at the Fueled Conference in Las Vegas on March 4th and getting an award March 5th. Stay tuned to that. You will see more updates to that. I think you have to be present there. I'll double check, but I'll have a few snippets from there to just kind of share with you the experience that I had. So stay tuned and link up with me so you can just at least catch a sneak peek of what all that happened then. Now, the virtual event I will also be speaking with and doing a workshop will be the Women of Vision Leadership Summit. That is happening March 27th, I believe. But again, stay tuned and you'll have all the updates to that. You guys know I have a podcast. So I'm working right now on my season 3 episodes. So I'm editing. And just with all the things that I have going on right now, it's taking me a lot longer to get through the season that I wanted to. So I have really paused podcast guests right now. So I'm not doing any interviews, but because I have a whole bunch of season or episodes for season 3 anyway, that's going to take me through the rest of this year. So I'm not in a danger of having my being like on a break from my podcast for any long period of time. No. I have over 100 guests just waiting in the queue. So I will be pausing that to finish that up, to free myself up for more availability to do more of these episodes. Also, I will be completing book 2 of my fantasy series and creating a website dedicated to my fantasy world and authorship. So you will see here, this is my book, fantasy book. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Did it go through? I hope so. So this is my fantasy book. Please do me a favor and go over to Amazon, Ingram Spark, to check it out. I mean, grab it. Tell me what you think. It has a tone of emotional resilience, but I'm a fantasy geek. I love that stuff. So I will be doing that and finishing book 2 on that series. So hopefully you guys like it and tell me what you think. And then lastly, I am working on branding and promoting the Moving with Meaning show and more, collaborating with NFusion and the Mogul TV Global Network. So I am having my hands in a little bit of everything, and I'm so excited about it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I want to extend a huge thank you to NFusion and the Mogul TV Global Network family for seeing me and my message as a valuable contribution. And I need to deliver on that and much more. All right. As I usually end with everything, I want to make sure you guys know to go to movingwithmeaning.com, check out some content there, visit me on all my little Etsy stores, LinkedIn, connect with me, follow with me on all those different profiles. Stay connected with me, please, folks. I really want to hear from you because your input matters and it influences how I put these shows together and what I talk about. All right. I think that is it. So I really enjoyed this. This is a great season ender episode to wrap up the season with. And this ain't going to be the first episode. It ain't going to be the last season. Let's say that. It ain't going to be the last season. I'm coming back. I'm more excited than I have ever been, okay, and more motivated because of you. All right, until I see you, I want you guys to enjoy not only your rest of your school year, if that is what you're in, looking forward hopefully to some great summer vacations, but enjoy your time. Give yourself that break and that peace. You deserve it. In the meantime, you know what it is. Just keep moving